Hello and welcome to this. This is game 2 of the Zlo versus Blackheart best of 7 series, and we're about to see some action go down on Stella Maris, and we are going to see whether Zlo has a little bit more luck or whether Blackheart can get a repeat of his fantastic performance and shut down Zlo in the early stages of the game and secure a win. So let's go and have a look. We've got Blackheart up in the north this time. He is in his customary purple colour. He is throwing down a first PG, and that is very interesting. I'm not quite sure what we're going to expect from him. I'm sure some of the people here might recognize that build order. Alright, that is very interesting, and he has gone for Aeon, and we've got Zlo down here in the south. He has opted for UEF this time. He is playing in green, and he is throwing down his first land factory and getting some engineers underway. So we'll see what Zlo has planned there, but more interestingly, we'll see what Blackheart has planned with that first PGN build. Very power heavy. I'm not quite sure what we're going to see from him. We can see that in terms of the initial build order, he has got a air factory down. He is going for a couple more PGNs, then he's going to throw down some mixers and get the rest of his build underway. So very interesting there. We've got something a little bit more standard here from Zlo. We can see that he's throwing down his first land factory. He is throwing down a few PGNs, although that is a little bit short. He's only going for 6 PGNs before he hits that air factory, and he's probably going to try and make up for that in reclaim. We can see engineers heading out here to grab some of those trees and turn them into energy, and that will turn into his air factory. And we can see he's got another engineer out, and that is on expansion duty. We can see maxes going down. We've got manual reclaim orders, and then heading out across the map. In terms of a Blackheart's initial game though, we don't see any expansion across the map, and I'm not quite sure what we can expect. There's going to be some very funny play. I'm not going to speculate too hard because these guys are going to be able to come up with things that I've never even thought of. So we'll see how Blackheart gets on with that. We've got another engineer out. Of course, he is a little bit behind in the engineer game because he is, well, he went for that first PGN and then he's going land. There is no extra roll-off time for engineers out of the Aeon Air Factory though, so that is to his advantage, and we can see that he's starting to grab a little bit of expansion. Now there is an order out from that engineer. He is heading out across this little pond, grab that reclaim, and head out here to continue reclaiming. So he's got a lot of reclaim in terms of power going on, so definitely a very power-hungry build, and actually very much short stacking on power. He has only got 4 PGNs out before he's going for that second factory, which is a land factory, and then he's got a few more PGNs planned after that. So I'm not sure that he's really taken advantage of that first air factory because he's actually just using it for engineers. So unless he gets a bomber out really soon, well, actually he could be building a bomb with a second air factory momentarily. So it's not like, well, what am I talking about? Of course there is a bomber. There was an early bomber, and it's out harassing Zlo's expanding engineers. That was extremely blind of me, my apologies, and we're just now seeing a little bit of harassment, and that is going to be problematic for Zlo. We should see an immediate switch up. Well, actually Zlo has managed to get an interceptor out of the gates. It is damaged from that first bomb, but unfortunately for Blackheart, that interceptor is out, and very nicely played there from Zlo, and he has taken down that threat. So it cost him a little bit in terms of expanding engineers. We can see one went down here when he was trying to build a mix, and we saw another one vaporize. But all in all, not too big a loss and not too much of a slowdown for Zlo. So that first bomber not being hugely impactful, and it does mean that there is still an interceptor flying around. It doesn't give an opportunity for another unassisted bomber to come out from Blackheart and continue harassing those engineers. We can see a lot of power going down there for Blackheart, so he's getting down another land factory, and then he's going to throw down a ton of PGNs, so we might expect a little bit more airplay from him as he gets that power ramped up and underway. We can see there's now a scout out for Blackheart and also a scout for Zlo, but Zlo's do well. Zlo does have a couple of scouts and a couple of interceptors, so he's got just that little bit more power in the air game, and that interceptor is going to run straight into that scout and deny that critical bit of intel that Blackheart was trying to fetch, and it does mean that Zlo is going to be able to hold over this air factory and perhaps even shut it down because he's got 2 interceptors floating over the top, and we can see Blackheart actually pausing that because he knows there's no point in pumping out any interceptors until he can clear the area, which he's going to do with this Seeker Tech 1 anti-air. That's going to be able to provide just enough of a disincentive for Zlo to hover his interceptors above Blackheart's base to let him unpause that factory. Well, actually he's still got that unpaused. It might be a little bit of a power issue, so no, we see he's gotten back to it now with those APMs that he's got so many of, and he has got that interceptor out, so that's a little bit of air power starting to come Blackheart's way. We can see Zlo now going for a transport that's D1, so it's not going to be shifting his ACU across to Blackheart's base anytime soon, but we can see a little bit of expansion going on with that as long as he can prevent it from being caught by interceptors, and he's probably got a pretty good chance of that at the moment because he has got a decent advantage in the air because he's got those 4 or 5 interceptors floating around, and Blackheart has only managed to get, well, there's one up there and probably another one just coming out now. There it goes. So it's still a decent advantage for Zlo, and he will be able to make sure that that transport is able to effectively expand unless he is extremely unlucky and Blackheart gets an interceptor in the right place at the right time and anticipates Zlo's plan. But of course that scout was taken down for Blackheart, so it does mean that this transport's probably not been spotted, and Blackheart's probably aware that that's a likely game from Zlo, but he hasn't actually seen it yet, and he's about to, because there goes a scout for Blackheart and he has spotted it. Well, actually it's not even an expanding transport, I tell a lie, it is full of, well, was that labs? It's a ghetto gunship. Okay, let's see what he does with this. He's heading straight over towards the naval factories here for Blackheart, and he's going to hover over here just a little bit and try and take those naval factories down. Has Zlo actually put anything in the water yet? He's got a single factory up and he's putting a second down, so mirroring each other in the builds there, and there are enough interceptors around here to keep that ghetto gunship alive. It's down to about half health, so that is some interesting play there, and those guys are just hanging on the bottom of that transport there and just blinking away at that naval factory down under half health, so he might be quite effective here in using that ghetto gunship to take out the navy. Now Blackheart has reacted to Zlo's attack there by throwing down the T1 AA in that area, and that is going to take out that gunship. So it does go down, and it doesn't manage to take out the naval factory. 837 hit points remaining on that guy, so that is a net win for Blackheart, of course, because he can jump down there with an engineer and do a little bit of reclaim as well. So not only did it fail to take out the navy, it unfortunately gave a little bit of mass to Blackheart, which you don't want to do. In terms of mass though, these guys are absolutely equal, well, just about. They're sitting on 59, 57 mass income respectively, and the power income, well, we can see that extra big power build from Blackheart has put him a couple of hundred power ahead. He has massively overbuilt on power. Let's just have a quick look at his eco, because he actually hasn't overbuilt, he's just built a whole lot more than Zlo has. So he is actually really nicely balanced right now. He is managing to spend pretty much all of the mass that he has got coming in, and not wasting a whole lot of it, although a lot of that power is currently going on to building power, so he is going to have an excess when he finishes with those power lines, and I do wonder what he plans to do with that, because he's going to have a decent amount of overflow which he can do something with, and we can see now some engineers being loaded into transport, so we are seeing the expansion there for Zlo, and we've got, well, there's a frigate coming around. It's going to try and do a little bit of damage to the naval yards here that Zlo is putting down, and there's a bomber hovering overhead and does, well, he did try and drop a bomb on it, but there is no attack assured. He is actually just heading over to this expansion and is just going to try and clear it out and get rid of any of those pesky engineers for Blackheart that keep building stuff and causing problems for Zlo. Nice bit of scouting here for Blackheart. He has got pretty good intel, I would suggest, on Zlo's activities across the entire side of the map. And Zlo, he does have good air control. He's still got this big crowd of interceptors, though he probably doesn't really want to land them right there, because they might get maybe captured, maybe reclaimed. Not a good idea in any case, and he does actually move those away. So we've got nice bombers in on both sides now, just trying to do a little bit of damage, and that is going to be something that, well, Blackheart's a little bit behind in the air game, and we can see that engineer actually getting destroyed by that bomber. So Zlo managing to make a decent advantage of the airplay that he has gone for, and he is able to do a little bit of damage to those expansions, not actually being able to take out any mixes yet. Well, he's denied a couple of mixes and a bit of reclaim, so that is definitely helping, but unfortunately his own engineers down here, when they're trying to expand, are coming under fire from frigates, so that frigate is on standby for any engineers that want to build mixes, and managing to do that job quite nicely, and actually sitting back here and just blinking away at, well, the cliff face, which is maybe not the most effective use of frigate fire ever, although one of those shots managing to get past. and just continuing to try and deny those expansions. So the air game for Zlo not probably doing quite so much damage to the expansion as the naval game is for Blackheart. So we'll see how these air versus naval play get on. In the last game we saw Zlo went for heavy air. We can see the same sort of thing happening again because he is definitely trying to keep that air advantage. He's got interceptors pumping out. Unfortunately for him, there was where that extra power is going for Blackheart into Swift Winds. So Blackheart actually playing the E game and getting so much power online that he can throw that T2 factory upgrade up straight away and get those Swift Winds. Of course, Swift Winds are faster, they are a lot more deadly than T1 interceptors, and Zlo will actually need quite a crowd of those guys to even try and get rid of these 4 that Blackheart has managed to build so far. So that is definitely going to be a problem. And the issue then for Zlo is that he has UEF, so he actually has no answer to Swift Winds until he can get to T3 air, and that is a wee way off because he does need a lot of power. And there's a T2 transport and it's going straight for his ACU, and that is exactly the kind of thing we might expect from Zlo. Now he is going to have to be very, very careful here because those Swift Winds will catch that transport very easily, and he's flying just about right over that frigate. So there's intel there for Blackheart. Is Blackheart going to respond? He's sending the Swift Winds that way, but no, they are just to take out bombers, and he is actually going to let Zlo land. So Zlo now getting on the ground on Blackheart's side of the map, and unfortunately for him there is a gunship straight onto him, and he's trying to throw down some T1 PD, but 4 gunships now for Blackheart is going to be a severe problem because Zlo has actually lost all of his air. Now this is a little bit of a desperate play at this point because unfortunately Zlo is just not able to control the air anymore. He's got his ACU down on the other side of the map, but there are Swift Winds and gunships all over him. Now these are cliffs, of course. If we have a look at this, we can see those are impassable. There is no way the ACU can walk down from that well. As far as I know, there's no way, and that does mean that Zlo is now without any air support and without any means of retreat into the water, and he has got, well, now 8 gunships on him. He's got frigates in the area desperately trying to do as much damage to those gunships as they can, but it looks like there was probably a gunship snipe prepping for Blackheart, and well, he didn't even need to go across the map to use it because Zlo came to him and he could execute that snipe right here in front of his base, which is very handy for Blackheart. And we're only 11 minutes into this game, and Zlo just trying to pull out a tactic and do a comm drop, which we all know that he is so good at. And unfortunately, Blackheart probably anticipated that. He went for an air snipe, he got Swift Winds up, he got a lot of power, he was able to get that air control, and then just start spamming gunships, and that is the end of the game. So now we go 2-0 up, it was GG, end of round 2.